Hi there folks, and welcome to our social media workshop. I'm Gary Weis from SBIM, and today we're going to take a look at social media selling. Now, it's probably one of the most common questions that I get asked about, social media for business, and that is, how do I drive more leads or sales for my business? Now, unfortunately, so many businesses go about doing social media just all wrong and end up basically giving up and thinking that social media just doesn't work for them. The problem is that social media selling really does work. You just need to know how to do it properly. So when looking at social media selling, you need to look at it from the point of view of the long game. It's not just going to be, the case that you push out some content or some ads, and all of a sudden, your phone starts to ring off the hook, or your online store checkout, starts to melt down. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. You've got to be consistent, and you've just got to be patient. Okay, I'm not talking about sinking dollar after dollar into an endless pit, but rather taking time to consciously build your audience. So what do I mean by audience? What do I mean by build your audience? Now, an audience, as we refer to it in social media terms, refers to both the people who already like and follow you or your page, and also anyone who has also interacted with your content, whether that's an organic post or a paid piece of content. So what's the best way to actually go about building that audience? Again, the answer is the same. The answer is consistency and patience. You've got to put out enough content to build your audience over time. So look, please don't get caught up in the hype of trying to build 10,000 Instagram followers in 30 days, or how to get 1,000 followers a day using one simple trick, and all that sort of other overrated rubbish you see out there on the web. Don't be tempted to try and shortcut the process. You'll just end up being disappointed. Look, and in most cases, your local business doesn't need that level of social media or Facebook or Instagram followers in the first place to make this social media selling strategy work. Okay, so there's no need to head down that path. Now, the best way to build an audience is to get them to know, like, and trust you. And look, ultimately, hopefully the goal is for them to do business with you. And that's what we're going to be looking at closely today, is how exactly you do that using social media. Okay, the first step is content development. Now, when we market our own business or a client's business, we always start off with a content development strategy. Now, the reason for this is that it's the development of the content that typically becomes the stumbling point for many business owners. Okay, they just can't get their head around it. So the process that we go through starts off with creating long-form content. So long-form content can come in different shapes and sizes. And the most common form we create is video content. Now, usually that video content is pretty much, it's just like this. It's in front of the camera, it's standing or sitting in front of the camera and delivering information that your target audience would ultimately find helpful. So what you have to realize is that you and your business are subject matter experts, in whatever field you're in. And people who are wanting or needing your particular products or services are going to want to hear what you have to say in the buying process. Now, the quickest and easiest way we've found to create long-form content is to pick a subject that relates to your products or services and make a short list of points that you want to cover in your video and just go for it. Now, what we do is we usually try and keep the list to about 5 items only. Now, you should be aiming to keep your video to between 3 to 5 minutes if possible. And look, there's nothing wrong if it's longer, but to start off with, just try and keep it short and sweet. Okay. Now, once you have your long form content, you can then create what we call micro content. Okay, and that's another reason why we suggest 5 items, because you can cut your long form content into 5 micro pieces of content, which conveniently equals 1 piece of content per day for the working week. And you might even be able to cut it up into even more micro pieces if the content actually lends itself to be able to do that. And that's exactly how we do it here at SBIM. We pick a topic, we choose 5 points within inside that topic, and we roll the camera. It really doesn't take that much effort or planning. So if you want to make the topic selection process really simple and get a jump start on it, here's a quick tip. Jump onto Google and just do a search for the top 5, whatever that relates to your business. For example, if you're let's go with an air conditioning company, you can do the top 5 reasons why you need to clean your air conditioner. All right. So if you want more ideas, just go and search for the top 10. I mean, you'll end up with heaps and heaps of topics to choose from, and really a never-ending source of content ideas. So when it comes to creating your videos, simplicity is best, all right? Don't be put off that you need to make it look fancy with high production values. Just keep it simple, okay? The more organic and authentic your content looks, the absolute better response you will get. So look, trust me, we've tested just about every type of content there is out there, and look, simple stuff comes out on top almost every time. So just make sure that your audio is really good. Your audience will be a little bit more forgiving if the video is a little shaky or the lighting isn't quite right, but if the sound isn't clear, you're absolutely going to lose them, okay? So now that you've got your content ready to go, this is how we suggest you publish it out there and start to build your audience. All right, first off, what we want to do is take the long form content and we want to post that to YouTube. And yes, we do recommend that if you haven't already set up a YouTube channel for your business, you do so, okay? It never ceases to amaze me just how many views a good video can actually get over on YouTube. And it's something you really should be taking advantage of. And with your YouTube channel, look, don't worry about how many subscribers you have or how many people have commented on your content. At the moment, it's just being used as a place to house your videos, okay? Next, we create a blog post on our website and we embed that YouTube video onto it. Now, again, if you don't have a blog function built into your website, then again, I strongly suggest that you go and have one put in. It really is simple to do, and it gives you a place, again, to publish new content and the video content that you're about to create. Again, don't worry about how many people view your blog post or how many people share it or comment on it. It's just being used for the moment as a place to house your video content, just like YouTube. And I forgot, we also transcribe the video using a service called Trint. Now, there's plenty of transcription services out there that you can choose from, varying prices as well. Or look, you can just choose to just do it manually yourself. Takes a little bit more time, but just as effective. So now what we have is both the YouTube and text version of our video on our blog post. Now that's great for search engine optimization value as well, doing it this way. So now the blog post is up and running, we now need to send out an email to our list and post our blog to our social networks and let people know that there's something new for them to go out and check out. So all pretty simple, and look, it doesn't take a hell of a lot of time to do all that. And the other thing I would suggest is setting up a form. Now this can be a pop-up or just a static form on each of your blog post pages. And the reason for this is that you can capture the email addresses of people who have actually watched your content and enjoyed it, and who then want to go on to join your list to continue receiving the helpful tips or whatever it is that you're sharing. So rather than having them subscribe to your YouTube channel, actually encourage them to sign up to your email list. Again, this is a slow burn, so don't expect overnight results, but it is something that you should set up now and look, just let it run, okay? Now we're going to head on over to our social channels and we're going to schedule the 5 pieces of micro content to go out now. So all you need for the moment is just one single piece of micro content per day to go out. You don't need any more. You simply just post your video with a brief description and a link to the blog post on your website in the description. Now, this link enables people to go and check out the full-length video on your website if they want to. Now, the trick here is to post and make sure that your video is posted natively to Facebook and your social media channels, okay? Don't use YouTube or any other sort of video service here when you're posting. You won't be able to post a link on, say, Instagram, but you can certainly pop the link in your bio if you want to. And what you'll want to do is, for the next step, is keep an eye on your posts for the week and take a look at the posts which actually receive the most engagement. Now, depending on the size of your existing audience, the people who like and follow you, you might have limited reach and you may have low engagement, okay? Don't worry about it. If that is the case, just keep going. Keep posting each week and keep pushing out the value. Just don't stop, okay? It's the consistency that will have your audience sort of get to know, like, and trust you over time. I just see so many businesses post only a couple of times and then they just give up. Just remember, if you stop posting, then social is never going to work for you. You've just got to stick with it, and over time your audience will build. Just be patient. On the other hand, if your posts are getting reach and engagement, you will be able to see, then which posts are getting traction and the most interest. And it's these posts that you're now going to want to promote and put a few dollars behind. So now I'm going to take you through the exact same process for running the paid ads that we use for our own business and that of our clients. And for this example, we're going to be using the Facebook ads platform. And in particular, we're going to be using the video views marketing objective. Now, the reason we want to use the video views marketing objective is because Facebook's algorithm will promote your paid content to people that have a higher likelihood of watching your video based on their previous usage behavior. Okay, Facebook learns to know what you're up to. We also want to take advantage of what we call the through play billing feature and also the video engagement metrics that are available with this type of campaign. So the question is, what is a through play? Now, a through play is a feature by which you only pay for the ad if someone watches your ad for 15 seconds or more. Or on the other hand, if the ad is less than, say, 15 seconds, that's to 100% or all of it. Now, 15 seconds is quite a long time, okay? You can get a lot of information across in a video in just 15 seconds. Now, we're also going to be taking advantage of a phenomenon called self-selection. Now, think here now of your own viewing behavior. When was the last time you watched an ad or any piece of content on social media, for that matter, for anything longer or anything near 15 seconds if you weren't really interested in the content or the ad? The answer is probably not ever, or pretty small amount of time. The reason is we simply just don't watch what we don't want to watch. We keep scrolling past. So what this self-selection phenomenon allows us to do is really widen the targeting for our ads. So what normally happens when you're running ads on Facebook or any platform for that matter, you need to select an audience to target. Now, this works really, really well if your audience is easy to define, all right? So, for example, if you sold, say, golf balls, okay? It'd be easy because you could target people who were interested in golf. Pretty simple. The problem here is that everyone who sells anything related to golf is targeting that very same audience. Now, the more advertisers targeting the same audience, the more expensive it is to target that audience. It's simply a matter of supply and demand. Now, here's another example. What if your product has a much, much wider appeal? And let's say, what if your offering was, say, a service like a personal injury lawyer? Who would be your target audience for someone who has just had an accident? Now, that's not so easy and not so obvious. Let me tell you, there's no interest option in Facebook that you can tick that says just had an accident. Look, it's very difficult, if not an impossible audience to exactly target. Now, in these cases, that self-selection phenomenon really works and helps you out because you can show your ads to a much wider audience, and with self-selection, they'll only watch the ad if it is of interest to them in the first place. Now, you couple that with, say, the 15-second through play feature, and you've really got a cost-effective way of promoting your content now. Now, you essentially only pay, if someone is interested in your content now, and there aren't that many, advertising mediums that give you that sort of deal these days. You just can't go and pay, for a billboard or TV ad or newspaper or magazine ad, based on the number of people who showed interest in your ad. This is really a great media buying option that you need to be taking advantage right now. And this is why we're heavy into video view campaigns and video marketing. Seriously, it has to be one of the most value for money forms of marketing available, not just now, but ever. Okay, so now we're going to quickly run through how to set up your campaign on Facebook. So first off, you need to create your campaign and create your first ad set. Now, you want to set up an ad set for each of the videos that you're going to promote. Now, I'll explain why you need separate ad sets in a minute, but what you're going to do is set up the ads for 3 of your pieces of content only. So just pick the top 3 performing posts or the best 3 pieces of those 5 pieces of content. Now, you want to have all these ads set up and ready to go at once. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to load the first ad and let it run for the period of the campaign. And we won't be stopping this ad at any point along the way. So you've got to make sure that that piece of content, that piece of promoted content is really, really strong. So this first ad will be running the whole time and will be driving people into your video funnel. So you've got to make sure it's a really good piece of content to kick things off with. So now your first ad is up and running. Let's say that your first piece of video content is just 1 minute long. What we're going to do is set the second ad to only show to people who watched a minimum of 15 seconds, or equivalent to a through play, of the first ad. Now, you'll be able to see in the video engagement report with inside your Facebook Ads Manager just how many people watched to what percentage of your video. Now, this is really handy to know when trying to sort of understand the level of consumption you are getting for each of your videos. Because it's one thing to know how many people watched your video, but knowing how long people watched your video for is also incredibly important. So to target the people who watched a minimum of 15 seconds of your first ad, you'll need to create what we call a custom audience. You then use that custom audience to target your second ad with. So when we create your custom audience, you do have options to choose 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 15-second through play, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 95% engagement levels for your videos. Now you can choose a different engagement level based on your content, but just remember 3 seconds is probably too short. And on the other side, and selecting 75% and 95% could actually make your audience size too small to work with. So in our experience, 15-second and 25% tend to work the best. Again, play around and test it out for yourself. A little bit earlier, I mentioned that you'll need to set up each of your ads in separate ad sets. The reason for this is that you'll have different custom audiences for each ad set. The targeting for your first ad will be very broad, whilst the targeting for ad 2 will become the custom audience created from ad 1. It's going to be the same process for showing content piece number 3. You'll create a custom audience from the 15-second views from ad number 2, and that will sit in its own ad set as well. Now, finally, we move on to the 4th ad, and you're going to show them a static-based ad. This is not a video ad, okay? Now, the static ad is usually a screenshot from one of your videos previously, which enables you to keep the whole sequence really familiar. And you'll also be able to have some supporting text containing, a strong call to action telling people exactly what you want them to do, which is like to buy now or download or book now or whatever your call to action needs to be to get them into your sales process. So the questions I always get is, why a static ad at the end of the video sequence? Well, the simple answer is at some point you need to focus in on actually asking for the sale. You don't need all the goings on inside the video to do that, okay? A simple image with a strong call to action, does the job pretty well. Along the way, you've got to remember, in each of the ads, number 1, 2, and 3, you will also have a call to action, but it's usually a lot softer. It's a softer call to action, for example, for more information, or if you'd like to know more, etc. Okay. Now, the final ad in the series needs to be a hard call to action, okay, to get the deal across the line. So when you plot out this entire strategy, it's going to look something like this. So by running your content and social media ads this way, you're delivering value to your audience and you're also building goodwill before you ask them to engage with your business. Now, this is going to deliver far better results than just straight out asking someone to buy something from you on the very first interaction. Now, you've probably heard the saying 1,000 times, you need to make a deposit before you can make a withdrawal. Well, in this case, the content is your deposit and the call to action or the offer is hopefully going to be your withdrawal. So that just about brings us to a close for this social selling workshop. I hope that was of some help and we'll see you next time on our next workshop.